Welcome back to another episode of the Women Veteran Entrepreneurs podcast. My name is Omar Mohammed, helping you improve and progress in business and in life. In a Wave podcast is all about a network for building capacity. It is powered by Truist Bank. My co-host over there is Major General, let me back up, retired Major General Dr. Linda Singh. Hey, we're back again.
Hey there, Omar.
Hey, good deal. All right, so you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Wave, that's WVE Podcast. You can also find past episodes at www, people don't really say that anymore, but I'm going to say it, EDAC Morgan, that's EDAC Morgan.com. So glad to be here again. As always, we have a woman entrepreneur that we're going to, women veteran entrepreneur that we're going to interview, as well as have a resource for you at the end. So without further ado, let me welcome to the Wave podcast, Adrienne Somerville. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Omar. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the warm welcome. Excited to be here, of course. Looking forward to the engaging opportunity.
Absolutely. So we always start off with what branch of the military did you serve in and how many years?
So I was young and impressionable. I served in the Navy. I was direct commissioned as a supply corps officer. I think maybe I was 22 back in 1995. Don't do any quick math to figure out how old I am today.
Let's see.
Yeah, exactly. But I had a short stint of about 4 years or so. And then what I did was I started my, real focus on my civilian career, still supporting the Navy, and became a contracting officer, very analogous to being a supply corps officer in the Navy.
Okay, so talk about your transferable skills. First of all, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I have one of my daughters is in the Navy, so she's I think 5 years in the Navy. So yeah, I like all of the branches now, not just the Navy. I like them all. So let's talk about transferable skills. So being in the Navy and what skills did you use to help you out with entrepreneurship?
So one of the key things is communication. Of course, the ability to communicate in writing as well as communicate in person, being very poised, being very politically savvy. That's another skill that I think oftentimes get overlooked. But that's just, aware, educated, kind of informed of what's happening at all times, and the ability to synthesize information into tellable stories, right, for people to make fact-based decisions. And I think that's a skill, there's so much information, there's an insatiable appetite for data and information, but you've got to be able to codify that and transfer that into something swift so you can make timely decisions and be ethical and it be filled with integrity and fidelity.
Yeah, I'm learning that now. The data, making it into stories. So yeah, appreciate that. I'm gonna ask you some more about that. So from the Navy, you probably did some other stints somewhere else. You mentioned contract management. What led you to this entrepreneurial journey?
So this is the beauty of, and you hit the nail because you all are speaking my language today already. I'm going to tell you, I always tell people it's not about the job, right? Don't worry about your next job, but worry about the skills you're getting in this position that will strategically posture you for the next position. So going into the world of contracting, I was able to develop negotiation skills, improve writing skills, the ability to be very decisive in my decision making, very analytical and a critical thinker, and also to develop a level of understanding about products and services and impact, still supporting the Navy. I moved from being a contracts person, a contracting officer, unlimited warrant, bought F-18s, B-22s, H-60s, right, for the Navy services, special projects for the Department of Defense Inspection General Office. And then I realized, nothing happens without people. So how do we take all of what we learn and remove the facts and figures, right, that we place on people? And let's drill down to not necessarily the quantity of people, but the quality of people. So now I pivot into transferable skills into program management. Can I manage cost, schedule, timeliness, right? Collaboration skills, partnerships with other disciplines, the diversity of thought, right, at the table to make things happen as a program manager. And then it allowed me to meet my love, which is talent management. It's the people, the alignment of people and their skills. And that's how I got into, you know what, this is so great. Having done it for 36,000 people across the Navy, wow. Leading then into more of an enterprise initiative, I thought, well, I could do this in my sleep. That led me to entrepreneurship. And then my desire to take what we're doing, if I can shape organizations one person at a time to get them to better understand not necessarily how many people you have, but the quality of people you have aligned to what your goals and missions are, I could really help develop the portfolio of talent and increase product and production across companies and organizations.
All right. So tell us about, so you have two businesses. So tell us about those two businesses, and then I have a follow-up question. Yep. Cool. You can tell us about.
So I recently, completed a project pitch opportunity, right? And then I launched Somerville Consulting Group. So that's my LLC, which is where I do a lot of my public speaking. I do a lot of like coaching and kind of mentoring in that regards. And then I also published a book, and it's called Wingspan, and it's about gaining corporate dominance with the focus on talent management. I then also partnered with two of my business partners, also helped me with that 36,000 people initiative recently that we did. And we built like the first mobile app as it related to naval aviation. We formed Talent and Technical Solutions. And Talent and Technical Solutions is another level of maturity, because in this forum, we identify IT solutions and we develop them, whether it's a bolt-on to what you have, whether it's a creation of something that you don't have, but it's affordable and scalable IT solutions that allow you to start to understand all of your people related data and help you build a talent management solution organic to your organization.
I love it. Working with all those people. So I heard 3 businesses, but is it 3 or is it 2?
It's 2. It's 2.
It's still 2. Okay. All right. So Somerville Consulting, and then
Talent and Technical Solutions.
Yeah. The Wingspan.
Miss Linda's got it. Miss Linda's got it over there.
Yes. So I went in the military, so I didn't catch it. I caught on just now.
Well, I'm just smiling because as I've listened to her go from, being really in that acquisition space and then moving into that program management space. And oh, by the way, what she glossed over is that she had an unlimited warrant. So what that means is she had like the highest level buying capability that you can get for an individual that's working in an organization. When you can write the checks to a contractor for these big things like F-15s and I mean, that's huge, right? But what that translates into and what she's done with her business is just amazing. And as I, just think about, how you've made this transition, I mean, that to me is, I hate to say, it's like the storybook way that it needs to happen.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that, Linda. It really excites me because I could see, big platforms come off of production lines all day. But what warmed my soul was, those that were working on those items, right? Those that were looking for the next training class, you're looking to develop, you're looking to, if you're General Motors, pivot from, electronic cars to battery cars, right? And, are we aligning to be a nation, an empowered nation? Are we aligning today's talent and positioning them strategically to be able to impact the world as leaders of organizations, whether you're government, nonprofit, or industry? We all are relying on talent in a world where you're hearing words like great resignation, or we're looking to retire, or people aren't wanting to come back into the work world. So how do we tap into all this untouched talent that's resident, right, within the United States today? How do we leverage that? How do we gain as an organization, as a country, by tapping into that talent? All of that is talent management.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that we've learned since we've been doing these interviews is, entrepreneurs working in the business versus on the business. So that's becoming the phrase. So it's basically, how do you grow beyond yourself? What advice would you give to those individuals who are thinking about doing just that?
I would offer that, individuals, do your work, right? So I know where my strengths are, and I know where I can gain quick wins very swiftly. I could also tell you, Omar and Miss Linda, what I can't do well, right? What it's going to take me a longer time to do. You want me to do a graphic? Oh, that's going to take me some time. So now I know I'm going to have to contract that out, right? I'm going to have to outsource that, because I don't want to spend 2 days or 3 days working on something where I'm not as strong at doing that. So recognize what your gifts are, what you can knock out very quickly, and then what you can't. Leverage your resources. There's so many apps, there's so many ways you can, reach out on LinkedIn and identify talent to help you move your agenda forward faster. And so I would say, know what you need to focus on, know what you can contract out or outsource, and then leverage your talents that you have. And don't waste time trying to do things that are going to take some more time.
So Omar, does that sound familiar?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yep, it does. I mean, we talked about this, we've been talking about it for the last couple of shows. So it does sound familiar, and, just working to make sure that individuals, when they do start a business, it is them. I mean, as Dr. Singh said, you're the business. However, you to begin to scale your business, I mean, especially if you're looking to scale and grow your business, it can't be you.
Right.
So we appreciate those comments.
And then the other thing is, so I knew I never wanted a barbershop business, right? So a barber has to cut, has to be there. They are manually doing the work. So I'm always looking for talent, right? And so you can always start to say, like, let me build some contingency potential pipeline, right, of individuals, and keep them in the queue. So when that opportunity hits you, you're able to reach out and say, okay, so, hey, Miss Linda, we talked a month ago. Are you still available to support this initiative? And then, bring that person on board. So I'm always looking for talent. I'm always looking for young talent too, to give young people an opportunity. And you can leverage some of the best minds by giving young people, apprenticeship program, New Start program, bringing that talent in, and then that diversity of thought that they bring to the table too.
I like that. And, one of the other things I wanted to you talked about is contracting. And, I know I work with entrepreneurs all the time who are trying to do business with mostly the federal government, the DoD. What advice would you give to individuals, taking your journey from being in the Navy to being a contracting officer, now doing business with the Navy? What advice would you give individuals to really pursue that?
I would highly recommend individuals, particularly small businesses, if there's an agency that you're interested in, really get to know the small business office leaders, right?
And how do they do that? How do they do that? How do they do that?
How do they do that? So I would contact the agency. So if it was the Navy, for example, Naval Air Systems Command, I would contact that agency's small business director. In this case, it would be Mr. Shelby Butler. And then I would reach out, get some face-to-face, get a one-on-one on his calendar, meet his team, talk about my talent. I would also do that same thing at the Navy level, right? Because into all of those different directorates across those different commands. And then I would also learn what are the requirements of that organization. And typically that small business director would give you insight into some of the.
We lost you there, Adrienne. So Adrienne was pretty much, yep. Adrienne, you're
there?
back.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I would get into that technical community, right, for that one-on-one time, and have those capability statements ready, because you're looking to do your work on the organization.
Adrienne, we're losing you because you said some good stuff.
Those head herders are. So when you're coming in, you're the problem solver.
Hey, Adrienne, can you repeat that?
I'm sorry. Am I losing you?
Yes.
Are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Yeah.
So you were talking about the capability. Yeah, we were talking about the capability statement.
Okay, good. So I would who own those requirements, schedule some one-on-one, some face-to-face, and I would present and have a capability statement that already addresses those problems, right? Because the key is do your work on the organization, on their mission, on their program offices. It's the requirements owners that have the money. Right?
Yeah, that's important. You mentioned that capability statement. We actually did a webinar on that, on the capability statement. And for those individuals, just go back to edacmorgan.com. You can see information about the capability statement. And that's, and I keep hearing you say this: do the work, do your homework, do your homework.
I call that the lonely work, right? This is the work that no one wants to do. This is the research that happens in the wee hours of the morning. These are the lunch calls, the conversations that allow us to think and kind of go back into our offices and figure out our strategy and how we can basically solve the problems. And so I highly recommend people do that lonely work. If you're into data science, then figure out what organization you want to support. What are their data science challenges? And when you get an opportunity to sit in the office of a small business directorate or in the presence of a requirements owner, you can actually have that meaningful conversation, knowing what their challenges are, and more importantly, aligning it to your offering.
So I think you were breaking up when you were talking about the requirements officer. Is that what you were saying?
Yes. So let's just say I am in a program office and I do strategic planning. And then you, Mr. Omar, come in and you're company O, and you want to offer me some, data analytics solutions. Well, you would have done your work about my need. And now I'm giving you my time, which is extremely valuable. So in addition to your capability statement, you're telling me, hey, I know you have this problem, and let me just tell you how my company can help you solve it and what the organizational gains would be. So that work has to happen outside of that meeting, because you're only going to have a small amount of time to make that impact to sell. And so you want to be really prepared for that discussion with the capability statement as something that you leave in the room, but while you're there, sell them on what you can do.
I like that. And, so I used to deal with these ostaboos. Are they still around?
Yes.
Okay. I know.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So don't work with them. Go to the small business director and the requirements officer.
Absolutely. And take advantage of industry days, right? When you hear of an industry day, or small business roundtable, because that small business director that you're trying to meet with, they host small business roundtable discussions, but they also bring in some of those requirement owners. They also bring in, others that can help you with your small business paperwork. You can talk about trends or legislation or policy changes. So, and you get to meet other small business. I'll share with you too, some of my work, when you're small and you're scrappy and you're trying to get in the game, be also willing. You may not go because you may think you can't compete for something, but you don't necessarily have to be the competitor, right? You can be the sub to the competitor. Right? And that'll kind of get your feet wet, get you in the business. Subcontracting is always a great opportunity to learn, get some past performance, cut your teeth a little bit on the business. And so I've been able to do several subcontracting opportunities, which gives us experience. You learn, you grow, and you start to build your network of relationships. I can't tell people how much that relationship capital will pay off in the long run. Slightly different than performance capital.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Adrienne, that is such an important point, what you've just made, and people need to be, and I've had to kind of get over this myself, and it's funny because I'm submitting my first really large prime opportunity that I'm going after tomorrow here, and
Congratulations.
I
Yes.
keep talking myself out. I mean, like as I'm reviewing and putting the final touches, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Like why are they going to select, my company? And then when I look at the capabilities that, I have and, what we're proposing on, and I'm like, but why not? So,
Exactly.
here's the
That's
thing.
right.
If you don't put your foot in the game, then you're never, ever going to get into the game.
Absolutely. There's a leadership characteristic I talk about. I kind of coined it as effort optimism. And effort optimism means you really have to believe that your hard work will pay off. Like that's your motivator. I have to believe that I will be given the opportunity if I've reviewed the requirement, I've looked at like the section.
We lost you, Asia. We lose you.
Yeah, even doing that lonely work, you have to believe that it's going to pay off.
Absolutely. And so as an entrepreneur, women veteran entrepreneur, what do you need?
For me, it's always about clients, right? Getting in the forums where you can socialize, what your company does and help organizations with their talent. We're looking at hiring, developing, succession planning for people leaving organizations for various reasons. And how do we get in front of those companies to say, we can help you with this at an affordable rate, right? At an affordable price. Something that leverages IT solutions that can be game changers.
I think everybody's looking for that those client base, and you're real specific of what you can offer. And oftentimes entrepreneurs they say I need more clients, but you're real specific on these are the type of clients I'm looking for.
Right.
And go ahead, Adrienne.
And there's so some would say, well, there are big companies that can do this. They're quite expensive, right? But we know there are a lot of small businesses, there are new startup companies. As a result of companies going away, there are mergers, right? Where people are trying to bring two companies together to survive. And so what are you going to do with the hodgepodge of talent, right? So we come in with those IT solutions that allow you to synthesize all that good data and start making decisions about hiring, about developing, about training, about retention, about succession planning. How do you manage people across technical disciplines with diverse backgrounds, with different market sector? How do you cross-pollinate all of that information so you can decide what direction to lead your organization for long-term sustainment?
And so how long did it take you to get to this point where you were able to say, all right, these are the type of clients I want, and these are the type of clients that's going to be a headache for me that I don't want?
I know. I started in 2020. I decided to break this down, right?
Okay.
And it's just been drilling then. I really have been drilling then on that client base. And it's important to know, especially when you're starting off, right? Because there's only so much you can do. So you want to make sure you identify, I call it your target audience, your constituency. These are your constituents. And you want to get laser focus on that.
Absolutely. Because otherwise you're going to be chasing dollars.
And this is one of those things where your business plan, and granted, part of your business plan should be honing in on where do you want to do business. And sometimes you have to, when you're just new and starting it, you may want to go another direction, and you may want, I want this client, this client, and this client, but then you get an opportunity that is in this area. You need to be thinking about that. Don't pass up on that opportunity. If it's a paid opportunity that's going to get you, that credential, don't pass up on it, especially if it fits one of your other, areas that you want to go. That to me, I think is huge. And what I see people, misstep. And even, myself, as I think about my business, I get so laser focused on one area, and somebody will say, hey, we have this opportunity to do this training. What do you think? And I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that training. They go, but you do training. Yes, I do. I really want to be over here.
And you're so right. That being flexible and adaptive, we just did a coaching course. And if someone had said, do you offer coaching training? I would say, no, we're doing talent management and building IT models and mentoring programs. But, oh, of course I can do a coaching training. Let me put.
You broke, Adrienne. We hear you. We see your lips moving, but you broke up.
You hear me?
There we go. We got you.
Yeah. So I was very key on, like, of course I can do a coaching training, right?
Yes.
Being flexible, because you know what, it will spin off into other opportunities, right? And then it gets you
That's
some,
right.
it gets you some past performance, gets you some work.
That's the key with government, with any past performance. Can
Yes.
you do the job?
Absolutely.
How did we know that? So, all right, good
And
deal.
you need to get that experience. You need that experience, right? You need to start getting your experience some way.
Absolutely. All right. So business planning, what was the process for you? I mean, did you actually put together a business plan, or you just jotted down some notes on an index card or a napkin?
Oh no, it's many pages of a business plan. My gosh, I never thought it would end. But this is what I love about it. It's evolving, right? It's a living document, right? So I'm constantly scanning it. I'm constantly like looking, okay, so what's happening in the political arena, right? That might be a chance to update. We just got a big bill sign, right? Is what opportunities are in the Buy Back Better bill, right? That lends itself for us. So, the political, the social, the economic space. So you're constantly looking at your business plan. And, that's another thing that you think lonely work, right? A lot of research, a lot of work goes into that. Who are my competitors? What do they offer? It's something that we should continue to look at, but I did develop a full up business plan.
Congratulations. And I like that you said, look, I did this business plan, but it's also a living document that we look at on a regular basis. So good for you.
Adrienne, right, is there an organization that helped you with your business plan? Did you use any of the resources in the state?
Well, it's funny. There's an organization. It's called Project Opportunity for Veterans. It's led by Joe. Have you all heard of Project Opportunity? Yes. Phenomenal organization. Yep. And I was the winner of their first pitch competition. So I won in February of 2021. And part of the requirement was that you had to develop a business plan. And so I literally worked on it and worked on it and worked on it.
Absolutely.
Very good. Right. Because you're one of the few that we have interviewed that has a business plan other than myself. And I use SCORE. So if you know the SCORE services, I actually used SCORE and had a gentleman who was just such a pleasure to work with. Half the time he was reviewing my plan. He was like, this is, oh my God, we can do this and this. I was just like, this is great. So yes, make sure that, you use those resources. And I think you're living proof to that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Thank you. In my book, I talk about chapter 8. It's like my favorite chapter. It's about mentoring. And I would say that in business, like you've got to find a mentor. And I had Brenda Dillett, who's a part of that organization. And she literally was mentoring me. And you know how mentoring is. Some days you're like, what? I thought it was magnificent.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you got some more work to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's good to have a business mentor. So hopefully businesses are, seeking that too.
Absolutely. Actually, we talked about that as well. Absolutely. So Adrienne, how can people reach out to you? How can they find out more information about your companies and your book as well?
So I'm on LinkedIn. So you can reach me there, probably most accessible there. You can also reach me at Adrienne at tts-c.com. That's my talent and technical solutions company. And you can also reach me at somervilleconsultinggroup.com.
Okay. Any final thoughts?
Remember in life what businesses should strive to be. Something I always wanted to be was significant. And so I wish that for all of us that are in that are embarking upon this endeavor of business as entrepreneurs and as veterans, significantly living means you're pouring your resources into other people. Successful living to me was always pouring your resources into things. And so my hope is that we'll all survive and get there. There's no shortage of opportunities. Just remember to always live and lead in your business role by just aspiring to be significant.
Absolutely. Really appreciate you. And let me just make sure I have your websites correctly. Adrienne, TTS, you said underscore or hyphen
Yeah.
C?
It's Adrienne at
TTS.
TTS.
I'm glad that's.
Adrienne
So I'm
at
glad I confirmed that. TTS.
Yeah. TTS, and then it's the dash sign, the hyphen, TTS-C.com.
I got it. It's Somerville.
And it's SomervilleConsultingGroup.com.
Group.com. All right, we got it right. We'll make sure everybody else has it too. Well, Adrienne, it's a pleasure having you on the Women Veteran Entrepreneurs Podcast. Much success to you.
Thank you. My pleasure. And it was a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Omar and Miss Linda.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good
Have an
deal.
amazing day. Blessings to you both.
All right,
Bye-bye.
you too. All right. All right. So up next is our resource. So stay tuned. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Women Veteran Entrepreneurs podcast. Again, I'm Omar Muhammad. Over there is retired Major General. Yeah, retired Major General. To say, I'm trying to give you more titles.
That's okay. Please don't.
Oh, well, welcome back. And as always, we have a resource. We always interview an entrepreneur, then we have a resource. And today we have Eduardo Hayden, and he's with the Governor's Office of Small, Minority, and Women in Business Affairs. Did I get all that right?
Perfect.
All right.
Exactly right.
Good deal. And today you're talking about the Maryland Veteran the Maryland Veteran-Owned Small Business Enterprise Program. So first of all, how are you? And then just jump right into what that program is all about.
Well, I'm doing great. Thank you guys for the opportunity to be here and to be able to provide some information to our veteran community. So we thank you for that opportunity. And so on behalf of Secretary Ree, Jimmy Ree from our office and the governor, we thank you guys for what you're doing here. Very important. So glad to be a part of it. So, all right. So let me get into the Veteran-Owned Small Business Enterprise Program. In government, we like to use acronyms for everything. So we typically refer to it as the VSBE program, just to kind of simplify it.
Okay.
So this particular program, it's a subcontracting program, right? And so what that means is that when solicitations are reviewed and it's decided that they're going to apply veteran goals to that particular contract, having your certification as a VSBE will allow you to go ahead and compete for that opportunity, right? So that's a subcontracting program. Now, that doesn't mean that a certified VSB cannot participate as a prime contractor. You can always participate as a prime contractor for any contract that you have the capacity to actually fulfill, right? And there are some benefits to that, and I'll mention that in a second. Now, this particular program has a 1% goal, aspirational goal. It's a statewide goal. And I know that sounds small, right, in comparison, but I'll explain to you in a little bit how we can sort of fix that and what we can do to kind of turn that around, or why it's low to begin with. So I'll talk about that in a second. The certification actually has 3 steps. The first step in this really is to register in EMA as a vendor. And as part of registering, you have to indicate the interest for the VSBE program, right? What that does, right, that's step one, actually sort of has an A, B, and C. A being that you're registering as a vendor, B, that you indicate the interest.
Right.
The C part in step one is you fill out the application specific to the VSBE.
Mm-hmm.
What
you
that
said
does is that
register-
it sparks,
said
that'll
register
spark
in-
step two.
Right. You said register in what platform again?
EMMA, I'm sorry, EMMA, that's Maryland Marketplace Advantage.
Right. Mhm.
That is the e-procurement platform for the state of Maryland.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if someone wants to go sort of look around in that, it's EMMA.Maryland spelled out .gov. Right, and you can always go in there and just start messing around to kind of look at it before you register, so you kind of get familiar. And there are in that first page, if someone wants to, they can actually click at the bottom of that first page on what they called quick reference guides.
Mm.
And those quick reference guides will actually walk someone through the process of registering to EMMA, how to register and get your certification as a veteran company, as well as a small business reserve company, which is another one of our preference programs. So that kind of gives you multiple things you can do there. So again, so as part one, you register in EMMA as a vendor. That's a must for anyone trying to do business with the state. And then the B and C part of that, again, is you indicate your interest, fill out the application. Step two in the process is the verification process. That verification process, it's a collaboration between us, Department of General Services that oversees EMMA, and Veterans Affairs, right? So at that point, you would have to send, right now we're doing it snail mail, but people would have to send their DD-214 to Veterans Affairs Office. All of this is guided, so it's not like you have to figure out who do I send it to. It'll tell you in the process. But once it gets to them, they'll go through their process of verification. And then that step three at the end is actually the designation of that number. There's a number that gets assigned to that application and that veteran. And then it comes back to our shop, our office. And then we do the final piece of the certification. We update the profile. We notify the vendor that their certification has gone through. So those are the three steps. Get registered in EMMA, indicate your interest in the application. Step two, verification. Step three technically is the certification part.
Okay.
And that takes about 3 to 5 days.
Oh, wow.
Eduardo,
It's a little bit
cover-
different than the federal side.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to ask you, can you cover the piece that if you have the federal and how?
Yeah, so if you already have your vet biz, right, what we do is we're basically grandfathering in the fact that you have that.
Good.
And then during the verification process, that gets vetted to the Veterans Affairs Office. They go through their process to just make sure that that's correct. And so it's less of a step. You don't have to send in the DD-214 and all that because you've already demonstrated that you have a verification that's done. So we grandfather that in. And this is new, by the way. This Maryland verification process is new. It used to be that it was attached to the federal vet biz certification process.
Okay.
And actually, in saying that, that's one of the reasons why that rate at 1%, why that's so low.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Is because the fact that we were relying on the federal verification piece originally was keeping a small number of companies that were eligible for the program. And so the smaller the amount of businesses in the space, the lower that rate is. It used to be 0.5%, then it was raised to the 1%, and all that is done through legislation. So what they did is about 1.5 years ago through legislation, they basically gave us the authority, if you will, to go in and try to fix that situation. And so we've been working with the Veterans Affairs, DGS, and others. We created a Maryland verification process to make it easier. And so since we've done that, we've actually we've doubled the amount of businesses in there, but we're still a little bit under 500 right now. So it used to be lower, it used to be in the 250 range. And that's important because the more businesses that are in the space, the more that every time that a solicitation goes through its review process and they want to throw business in that space, the more competition will sort of help us throw more business in that pocket, if you will. And the more we do that, the easier we can actually achieve the 1%. And when we're achieving the 1%, that gives our office all the ammunition we need to go and recommend to the legislature, please, you need to help us increase that rate, because they'll start asking those things. Right. Well, have we reached the goal yet? How often are we reaching it? Are we exceeding it? You know, do we have healthy competition in the space? So if those things are not there, it makes it more difficult. So that's one of the reasons why we've gone into it and they gave it to us, is because we're trying our best to work with everyone to get that moving forward and improve the space. So that's a 3-step verification, again, about 3 to 5 days. A couple of things that are probably positives that you want to keep in mind is in November this year, we finally were able to get a full-time VSBE compliance manager. That will be 100% concentrated on that particular program. Up until now, we've been sort of splitting those responsibilities among some of our compliance managers. And so, you know, they're split. They're trying to deal with 3 programs. And so we were finally able to get this year what we needed to be able to go ahead and hire someone to come in full time and actually give that program the attention it needs 100%.
Good. Congratulations.
So that's a positive. That's a good positive. We're happy about it because we've been asking for it, working hard, trying to get someone in. Yeah. So finally it happened. The other thing is in the summer of 2022, this process I just spoke about should be automated 100%. So, you know, we should be able to use the system in Emma to upload documents and for Veterans Affairs to download the information they need for the verification process, as opposed to the way we're doing it now, which is we're using the old system of mails and things going around. And there's some security reasons why it's probably taking longer to have to put things sort of in that space. But we're trying to do it correctly, but they're telling us probably for the summer of 2022 is when we should expect a more automated system, making it even easier. So it'll take less than 3 or 5 days. Right now, that's what it takes. Let's see, one other thing. This is a lifetime verification. So whereas the federal program, I believe it's every 2 years, you're supposed to do a renewal of your certification for VetBiz. At the state level, once you get this verification, that's for lifetime. You don't have to renew this every year.
So do you have to reside in Maryland to participate in this?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yes, the veteran program requires that you be a Maryland resident.
Okay. And do business in Maryland, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and have your business in.
Okay,
yeah.
good deal. All right. So with the time that we do have remaining, should have started off with this. It used to be called GOMA, right? So now it's called OSBA.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yes.
We are, they're asking us not to use the acronym.
Okay.
So internally, we like to tell each other it's GOSBA, but to be honest with you, it's a hard thing to make sense of. But they prefer we just tell people it's Governor's Office of Small Minority and Women Business Affairs.
Yes, sir.
Right.
All right. So we're gonna stick with that then.
It's very difficult, and it's people kind of throw the things around all the time. And so they were like, it's causing confusion. People think you're Goma, and they're like, just tell them the full name and they'll get it.
We're the governor's
I
office of
apologize. It's
small
not an
and
easy one
minority
to-
and women business affairs. You see it in the background. That's what they call.
Yeah.
All right.
Unfortunately, sorry. It's just
It's
not
all good.
No, didn't make it easy on this. We tried to make it a more simplified name whenever the name change occurred. They're like, you have to include these things in your name.
Absolutely.
Work it out. So we worked that out.
All right. So is there a website people can go to learn more about the governor's office of
Yes.
small, minority, and women business affairs?
Yes.
I'm gonna say the whole.
And it includes veterans as well, but that's even harder if we try to add that. Now it's yes, the website would be go MD small biz biz .Maryland spelled out .gov.
Okay, so that's go MD small biz .md
No, Maryland has to be spelled out.
Oh, you gotta spell it out. That's
Yeah,
right.
Maryland.
Okay. Spell it. Okay.
The state of- Sorry.
Maryland. That's
So
all
they didn't
good.
make that short either.
And that's across the state. So that's
Yeah, it
how all the
is.
offices have good. Maryland is spelled out,
Absolutely.
not GOV.
Okay, well, good deal. Good deal. All right. Any final thoughts that you would like to share? We have about a minute left.
So I'll tell you this. So I mentioned the thing about as a prime contractor and some of the things that you can actually as a benefit. It's probably important to mention here. So if, as an example, you were to be on a contract and you are the prime contractor, but also have your VSBE certification. And so let's say it's $1 million contract, it's got a 20% VSBE goal. That means that generally you have to share that 200,000 or 20% with a certified VSBE. But if you happen to fulfill both, because you are the prime and the VSBE, you get to do the whole thing for yourself, 100%. So you don't have to share that extra. And that only occurs with the VSBE certification. With the MBE certification, it's different rules. In that case, you would keep 50% of a goal, right? And so and if you're a small business reserve, everything's going to you anyway, for the most part. So that would be it. That would be the only other thing, is I would recommend that people look into the other two preference programs. The SBR takes 20 minutes on Emma. And the important part of that is that it's prime contracting opportunities, meaning business directly with the vendor and the state agency. And then there was an executive order this year that has doubled the amount of activity in that space. So we went from 20 to 30 contracts going there to now 40 to 60 contracts in that space. And so if it takes you 20 minutes, fill out the form on Emma, it's to their benefit to also, have that to dip into, because more contracts are going into that space this year. And that's based on an executive order that the governor put forward, basically saying anything between 50 and 500,000 has to be thrown into the SBR pool. Some exceptions are there, but it's like I said, it's doubled the amount of contracts in that space. So if you can have the SBR, your VSBE, do it. If you can add to that the MBE, which does take longer, that one takes 90 to 120 days. With some pandemic impact there, it slowed down their process, so it takes a little longer. But if you can add that too, do it. That's another benefit is, as a VSBE plus an MBE, if you were to see both goals, like an MBE goal and a VSBE goal, that's the only time that the person doing that subcontracting part, if you fulfill both certifications, you can do both goals together. So, but only if you're the veteran.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it's another benefit for
Okay. All right,
So,
well,
I mean, that would be it. I don't know if there's anything else or if you have any other questions
I think what
about
provided,
it.
yeah, I think what you provided has been key and some good information. And if people are interested, they can go onto the website. Get that website out once again.
Yes, it's go MD small biz dot Maryland spelled out MARYLAND .gov. Yeah, and
Right.
right on and I'll just give you this because you're gonna see a difference, right? Right now, the website is sort of in this frozen state. It's usable, but we can't add to it because they're gonna change the platform in the next 20 or so days. So by the end of the month, the format will look different, but the content will be exactly the same. It'll be laid out probably differently.
Mhm.
So if you go on there now, just know that by the end of this month, you may see the website will look different, but your content will still be the same. Just so that people don't, freak out when they go later this month and go, oh my God, what happened?
Well, thank you. We appreciate you coming on to the Women's Veteran Entrepreneurs Podcast. And again, if you're interested to learn more about how the Governor's Office of Small, Minority, and Women Business Affairs agency can assist, just reach out to the website, go MD small biz .Maryland. You have to spell it out. .gov. So really appreciate you, Eduardo Hayden, for coming on board.
No problem. I appreciate it. And just a final note, if I
Yep.
could,
Yes.
November 5th, we are working with a veteran partner, Project Opportunity. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with them, but they're going to do a 1-hour informational webinar with us on November 5th, talking about their program and the resources for the veteran community. So yeah, the month of November, we'll be covering veteran related stuff as much as possible, resources and whatnot. So other things that they can find once they go to the website.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. Any final thoughts, Major General?
No, I just went through the process and I'm waiting on some of my stuff back in it. I was dreading it, but it was actually a very easy process. And so I agree. I think it's worth the time. But obviously the MBE does take longer, but all the other ones were
Yeah.
very, very quick.
Yeah. And if people run into problems, call our office. Our compliance managers actually do an excellent job of working things out and helping people in the background as far as getting things worked out for the SBR and the VSBE. The MBE, that's the certification, is handled through MDOT and their office. And so that's a different process, but we do our best to try to get back to you and help you out as quick as possible.
Well, we definitely appreciate that. All right. So don't forget to follow us. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at WVE Podcast. And to listen to past episodes of the Women Veteran Entrepreneurs Podcast, you can just head on over to EDAC Morgan, that's EDACMorgan.com. So thank you for tuning in. And until next time, continue building that capacity for your enterprise. Take care.
Thank you.